Like, God is literally telling us in the Bible that our gentleness should be evident to all. Or they say something that I think is kind of dumb, and I will immediately respond with like something harsh. And I could have responded in a more gentle way. So we live in a world that says, like, you should be tough, you should demand your way, you should make a name for yourself, you should be strong. Gentle hearts are what glorify God. Hello and welcome to the Living Life for Real podcast. I'm your host, Evelyn Byers. And before I get into today's episode, I just wanted to say that I'm so excited that it's November because I am someone who celebrates the Christmas season on November 1st. All of you that say it's on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, that's your opinion. I'm not going to say anything about it. You guys don't come after me either, and we'll be good. If you guys want to wait until after Thanksgiving to start celebrating Christmas, that's fine by me. I think Thanksgiving's great. I love Thanksgiving, but I also really love Christmas, and I feel like Christmas deserves more time. And so if anybody wants to celebrate Christmas early, I think that's great. If you want to put up your tree in October, I'm not judging because I have been really tempted to put up my tree, and I'm not going to lie, I've already been listening to Christmas music. So now that it's November, I can officially say that it's the Christmas season, and I don't have to feel guilty for enjoying any of the Christmassy things. I even had hot chocolate the other day, and I'm just so hyped that it's finally like getting cooler out and I can get into all the fun Christmassy vibes. And since we're talking about the holidays, I do think I want to do some sort of like holiday series, whether that's through just December or the rest of November and then December. But I definitely want to do something. I'm not sure what yet, but I think it would be really fun to do some sort of holiday series. Okay, I've done enough yapping about Christmas, so let's get into today's topic, which today we're going to be talking about gentleness, another fruit of the Spirit. This is one I feel like I hear talked about the least and is probably one of the most underrated fruits of the Spirit. Like, everybody talks about love. Like, we all know it's important to be loving. We all know it's important to be joyful and to have self-control. I feel like those ones are really big ones, but I feel like gentleness kind of goes under the radar and really doesn't get talked about enough. Like, growing up, we always had these like pictures for like the fruits of the Spirit, whether you're like in class at church or even like reading them in like a Bible study. There's always like a picture with like a fruit or like a photo description kind of like what it means. And so I would always see pictures next to gentleness of like people petting dogs or like cuddling babies. And so I feel like gentleness, like from a young age, we almost have like this perception of it that it's just about like being sweet and gentle, like in the way we handle things, like literally physically. Like, oh, be gentle when you're holding the baby, be gentle when you're playing with the animals, don't play rough, don't be mean. But gentleness is so much more than just like physical. I mean, there is a sense of that. Like, you want to be gentle in the way you're handling people physically, like you don't want to be violent, but I also think that there's so much of it that's like verbal. And I feel like that part of it is what isn't talked about enough. Or even just like with intensity. Like, so many people want to be like tough and this like strong, passionate person that isn't afraid to like run people over, to be the loudest one in the room. And God literally calls us to be gentle. And I think part of that also means being gentle, like in our spirit. Like, we don't need to be the ones to take up all of the space. We don't need to be the ones to attack conflict. Like, there are so many instances where we try to be forceful and loud when we could be taking a more gentle approach. I know it's definitely true for me. Like, there are so many times, like, I'll be having a conversation with someone and maybe they say something that irritates me or they say something that I think is kind of dumb, and I will immediately respond with like something harsh or sassy or rude, and I could have responded kindly. Like, I didn't need to respond with the harsh response. I could have responded in a more gentle way. And I feel like that's something that has got to be true for everybody. We all respond in ways that we probably shouldn't in certain situations, especially if like we're stressed or already irritated. We can easily like dismiss other people unintentionally just in our responses. When we respond in a way that's like snappy or irritated or like just in a way that makes the other person feel dumb, that is demeaning to them. And so even if we don't mean to do that, like that's really bringing down someone else, even if it just feels like, oh, they just said something that was obvious. Like, I don't know why they would ever think that. And you're just like, duh. Like, just responding like that can make them feel like, oh, they think I'm stupid. They think I'm an idiot. And that can really bring that person down. Like, I've been on both sides of it. I know how easy it is to just feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they would say that. I can't believe they would do that. Or you're just irritated for no reason, and so you just respond like really sassy. And I know that when I'm the person on the receiving end, sometimes it does feel really like demeaning and like they think I'm so stupid. And so I know that it's so easy to do, but it can have so much of an impact when you're responding in a way that's harsh rather than in a way that's gentle. Like, gentleness is so important in relationships, but it's also especially important when you're interacting with non believers, because if you're not handling a situation gently, or you're sharing the gospel with them forcefully, or you're being really rude in a conflict, like that's not going to want to lead them to Christ. Like, you should bring about a gospel conversation in a way that's easily flowing and gentle. You should bring about a conflict in a way that's gentle, not forceful. And I feel like those are just simple, easy ways to be a light, but we don't take those opportunities. Instead, when conflict arises in the workforce or in our friendships, we're really quick to just snap and want our own way and be the first person to share our opinion and our view and be loud and just stir up more conflict. It's so easy, but it's not beneficial to the situation, and it's not beneficial to the other person or even ourselves. Like, it's not helpful in our own hearts to do that. Gentle hearts are what glorify God. Conflict is resolved so much more easily when you bring it about in a way that is peaceful, when you talk calmly and slowly and understanding. Like, when you come at them and attack them, like that's only going to stir up more problems. Meanwhile, gentleness is the route that does lead to peace, it does lead to resolution. I actually have a whole episode where I talked about handling conflict. So if you're curious, you can always go back and listen to that one or watch that one if you haven't already. But, anyways, all to say, gentleness in conflict is so important because it's really the only way to a truly resolved conflict, because nobody's going to respond well to a harsh response. And I actually have a passage of scripture that really goes well with this. It's 2 Timothy 2:24 through 26. And the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but must be kind to everyone, able to teach, not resentful. Opponents must be gently instructed in the hope that God will grant them repentance, leading them to a knowledge of the truth, and that they will come to their senses and escape from the trap of the devil, who has taken them captive to do his will. So in this verse, it's talking about what I was saying earlier, that especially when you're sharing the gospel, it's important to be gentle, because nobody is going to want to listen to somebody who's just like yelling at them and screaming and saying why they're like such a horrible sinner and why they have to have Jesus. Like, that's not going to be the way that somebody's going to want to be interested in salvation. If you're coming to them gently and explaining things in a loving and kind way, then they're going to be receptive to that, because inevitably people will like draw back when they feel attacked or when they don't feel comfortable. But when you're creating like a comfortable environment, people are inevitably going to open up because they feel comfortable. And so that's another example of why gentleness is important, because if you don't have gentleness, it's only going to draw people away from you and draw people away from the gospel. Meanwhile, gentleness really is the door to open people up to feel comfortable around you. Ephesians 4:2 says, "Be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love." It's saying be completely humble and gentle. Be completely gentle. There should be no reason sometimes that you're peaceful and that you show love and compassion and you respond to people in a way that's gentle. And then the other half of the time, you're rude, you're resentful, you're mean, you disregard other people's feelings, you hurt other people's feelings. Like, there should be no reason you're living halfway gentle and then halfway in a way that's mean. This verse is literally saying that we should be completely humble and gentle, and we should be patient, and we should bear with one another in love. All of those things really go together, and honestly, all of the fruits of the Spirit connect, and when you have one, you're definitely more likely to live with the others. But I do think it's still important to view each one individually, because each one has something different to bring, and each one has a different mindset that you might need to take to be able to really live that out. And then Philippians 4:5 says, "Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near." Like, God is literally telling us in the Bible that our gentleness should be evident to all. All should be able to see that when we step into a room, when we bring up a conversation, when we interact with people, we should be gentle. We, as Christians, should be people that others want to approach, that others want to talk to, that when they're around them, they feel more joyful and at peace because of the way we interact, because of the way we carry ourselves and hold conversations. And that all really does stem around gentleness. If you're not handling situations and interactions gently, then people aren't going to have that comfort and safety around you. It should be evident to all that we are gentle. Like, this kind of stems to the verse Matthew 5:16, like, "Let your light so shine before men so that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Like, we should have a perceptible light, and that light is perceptible through our interactions in the way we carry ourselves around other people. And lastly, 1 Corinthians 4:21. "What do you prefer? Shall I come to you with a rod of discipline, or shall I come in love with a gentle spirit?" Again, it's like what I was saying, when you're coming forcefully, when you're trying to like beat the gospel into someone, when you're trying to like beat your opinion into somebody, that's not what's going to draw them towards God, towards Christianity. Like, that's not the path. That's not the way that is really going to be fruitful. You have to come gently, because that's the way that people will want to open up and will want to seek truth and love and peace and the gospel. And so much of this is really countercultural, because we live in a world that says, like, you should be tough, you should demand your way, you should make a name for yourself, you should be strong, you should never let yourself be vulnerable, you should as a man be strong, and if you ever let yourself seem sweet and vulnerable, then that's wrong. If you're being gentle and compassionate as a woman, then you're not a girl boss. Like, there's all of these things that our world is telling us, and they're like the world is trying to force us into this mold of somebody who's strong and independent and doesn't care about what other people thinks. They're only worried about what they can do and how our lives can glorify ourselves, how our lives can please ourselves. And I think that the gospel is the reverse of that, as it is with almost everything. It's God is telling us that we should be gentle in the way we handle situations. God's saying we should be kind, we should be compassionate, we should be loving in the way we interact. We shouldn't be forceful, we shouldn't be forcing ourselves into situations. We shouldn't be trying to seek our own glory above God's glory. We should be gentle. And I know gentleness isn't always easy. Like I was saying earlier, for myself, it's so easy for me to snap at someone or just respond in an irritated way. And I should be responding with gentleness. It's so easy to want to be in control, to want to share your opinion, to want to be the one everybody is looking at and the center of attention sometimes. I think it's something everybody desires to a degree. We all want to be acknowledged and we all want to be respected, but sometimes when we're trying so hard to be respected, to be strong, then we can lose track of what it means to truly be gentle and to treat others in a way that is kind. And that's all I really have to say on that. But I do know that the fruits of the Spirit, they don't come easily. Like they do take time. They take intentionality. They take growth. Like it's not going to be overnight that you suddenly have all 9 or even just one. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of intentional steps and denying yourself when you feel like responding to situations in a certain way or treating people in a certain way. It's not going to be easy, but with slow and intentional, purposeful steps and with a lot of prayer and time in the Word, like it can happen and you can grow to develop these qualities. But anyways, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you've missed any episodes in the past, feel free to go back and re-listen. It's never too late. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe or follow my podcast and channel. I would really appreciate the support, and then you won't have to miss out on any future episodes either. And if you have any ideas for like a holiday theme or a Christmas series that you would like to see from me, feel free to drop a comment or DM me on Instagram. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. You have an amazing day, and I'll see you in a few weeks.